yourself is being safe as well as the people around you. Skydiving has the see something, say something mentality, and it's something that really helps keep everybody safe. So if we want to continue that, it's awesome. So I like to think about safety starting before you show up to the drop zone. As you wake up in the morning, you start thinking about what kind of skydives you want to do for the day, kind of practicing your EPs, that kind of thing. I like to practice my EPs when I least expect it. So like when I'm groggy in the morning, I'll go through my EPs. When I'm like drinking my coffee, I'll try to catch myself off guard, try to do my EPs. Yeah, as many times as you can. You can never be too prepared for that emergency, right? Go through the movements. Don't just go through it in your head. Go through the practice and develop that muscle memory. Because when you need to do those EPs, you want them to be second nature and something you don't actually have to think about. And do them the same way every time. I know there's a couple different ways to do your EPs. Some people were taught 2 hands, 1 handle. Some people were taught 1 hand, 1 handle. Whatever you were taught, whatever you're gonna do, practice it that way. I know a jumper that they were taught 2 hands, 1 handle, but then they found themselves in the situation and they went 1 hand, 1 handle. So they switched, and then that's how they developed their pattern. So you want it to be second nature. Practice them with your eyes open and your eyes closed. I like to do that. Positive visualization is a really powerful tool. So practicing them while you're looking at your handles, and then also closing your eyes, envisioning that malfunction, envisioning how things are going to happen. Really powerful tool. Different scenarios. So go through all of those different what if kind of situations, right? For those of us that are TIs, that flow chart is a whole lot bigger than sport jumpers. The sport jumper flow chart is pretty much a single page, where the 3 pages for a TI. But yeah, go through those what ifs kind of situations. Random question: what's the scariest malfunctions that everyone's afraid of?
High speed.
High speed? High speed what?
Bag lock.
Bag lock?
Fucking down point.
Yeah. Anybody else have the scariest malfunction?
When you don't react correctly to.
Yeah, right. Yeah. For me, it's anytime I touch my pilot chute and nothing happens, right? Because then I could potentially cause a 2 out or a total. So yeah, you go through those what if situations for those extreme situations. Plan for the unplannable. I know that's kind of silly, but not everybody has experienced all of the malfunctions. So think about how you would go through, how you would diagnose what's happening, and then how you would execute what procedure, right? Because there's no, bulletproof, go do this, and then this will happen. So sometimes you need to be flexible, identify the malfunction, and then have a plan to how to solve that problem, right? Knowing your gear, or if you're still renting, know what rental gear is. Some canopies behave differently. Some gear configurations are different, and they kind of have different procedures to go through that, right? So understand, is it a PUD emergency handle? Is it a D-ring handle? What can happen? What are the advantages of each of those? Plus, what are the disadvantages of each of those? And adapt accordingly, right? Is it right? So different gear looks different. So if you're constantly jumping around on different gear, if you're renting or if you're borrowing, know what that gear should look like in a jumpable configuration, right? Sometimes the kill line has a stitch down it. Sometimes the kill line window has like a mark on it. Sometimes they don't have a kill line. So know what your gear is and how to identify if it's correct or not. Also, different AADs or different rigs have AAD placement in different locations. Sometimes it's under the reserve flap, sometimes it's behind your back. So know the gear that you're going to be jumping, know how to make sure that it's safe for you to jump.
Is your gear free fly friendly?
Is it free fly friendly? That's a good point. Yeah, what things do we want to look out for to identify if our rigs are free fly friendly?
Bridle exposure?
Bridle exposure, bridle routing.
BOC tight?
Yeah, tight BOC. So even if your rig was free fly friendly, it could become unfriendly, right? If that BOC becomes stretched out and that pilot chute wiggles itself out, that's not a good situation.
Your main pin flap loose, does it come untucked?
Yeah, I love
While
the
you're
rear
out there
input.
flying around?
Yeah. Yeah, does that pin flap some, was it Javelin? Had different tucks for their main pin. Sometimes they're down, sometimes they're up. So knowing what wind speeds they're gonna do, the higher increased wind speeds from free flying, what they're gonna do to that pin flap. Jeff, you have anything else?
Tuck tab on your main handle.
Yeah?
I learned that inadvertently. I didn't know what it was, so I just kind of tucked it in my BOC not the right way.
Like disengaging the tab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Troy showed me how, or what that tab was for,
Yeah.
and that it's a free fly friendly tuck tab there.
What about pilot chute handles? Those can be a big thing. Some of the monkey fists are really heavy and they're kind of big. They can wiggle around a lot. I know Squirrel has the carbon fiber one, that's free fly friendly. And then if it has a tuck tab, that's free fly friendly as well. If you don't know, ask somebody, ask a rigger, right? Priorities, this is kind of more along the lines of people that are looking at gear, maybe their first rig, understanding what priorities you want in your rig. Is it free fly friendly? Is it a wingsuit rig? What kind of configuration, what size canopies will it hold? Understanding what you should get first, what's appropriate for you, your jumper, what type of jumps you want to do, and then your experience level. If you don't know, ask. And then this one I like a lot, keeping realistic expectations. We all want to do really cool stuff, but sometimes there's a path in order to get to that really cool stuff. Maybe if you are fresh off of your A license, going and doing that 7-way head down, probably not appropriate just yet, right? If you don't understand why that's not appropriate, ask somebody with some more jumps and they'll explain what can happen. There's a lot of dangers that can happen when we're going high speed. If we don't have the proper experience or the proper equipment, it can get really dangerous, not just to yourself, but everybody around you. Maybe not even just in the group, but everybody exiting before or after you as well. So there's a lot of things that can happen once we start cranking up that speeds past those belly fly speeds. There's a lot that can happen at the belly fly speeds as well. Enjoy the process. Everybody wants to get to that really cool, rad stuff, but enjoy that process of getting there. There's a lot of really, really fun jumps that can be done while belly flying that are kind of geared towards younger jumpers that will help you with that experience. If you don't know what those are, ask me, find me. I will gladly do some fun, safe jumps with anybody. And along the line, you might be targeting like that wingsuit jump, and along that path, you might discover that 4-way belly is really where your passion lies. So give yourself that opportunity to kind of experience everything, taste a little bit, and figure out what you want. Your goals might change along the path. Building from your base. Build a solid foundation. Typically, we refer to belly, or start with belly flying. Use that as a really solid foundation, and then start building from there. If you can't take a dock safely in a belly formation, chances are you're not going to be able to safely dock in a head up or a head down formation, especially when it starts getting big. So build a solid foundation, build a pyramid, not a tower. So build that big, solid belly foundation before we start moving on. And if you want to do some fun, dynamic belly stuff, I know Brett is really great at doing points. I like doing points. I also like doing fun, weird skydives on belly. But there's a whole bunch of people here that have a lot of experience. Come find somebody and we'll jump with you. Everybody is unique. We're all flowers, we're all unique. We all have our own path. We have our own pace as well. So it's really natural for everybody to kind of compare our progression with somebody else. I hear a lot of, well, I did AFF with this guy and now he's doing this or they're doing that. Who cares? Go at your own pace. If you're having fun, cool. If you're being safe, even better. But yeah, do things that make you excited. Don't compare yourself to everybody else around you. Anything you want to add? Anybody want to add anything to this?
I would say that FOMO will push you beyond your limits. So
It's real. Yeah, we're all adults, but we still have that natural inclination to want to go with all of our friends and keep going, right? Doing big jumps that might make us nervous. Don't be afraid to be that guy that's like, hey, or girl, I don't feel comfortable with this. You'll be surprised at how many people will be like, hey, you know, thank you. I wasn't ready to say I wasn't comfortable, but since you said that, I agree. Let's go break off and do our own thing, right? So there's a couple things that are going to change this year about landing patterns. I think I have a slide, or I think I mentioned it in here. We're no longer going to be doing first one down sets the pattern. Manifest is going to be choosing the landing direction. So before you board the plane, understand what that direction is going to be. And if I'm correct, I believe we're going to have an arrow out in the field at some point as well. So if you don't know, look down. It's pretty, yes.
It'll also be posted everywhere. We're gonna have posts out back, posted in here, as well as over by the landing area. And just make sure that you shouldn't be able to miss it, but it'll be posted around
Yeah.
if you need it.
Understand it's a whole lot safer to land crosswind than it is to joust, right? So follow the arrow, everybody follows the arrow. If everybody's doing the same thing, then we should be alleviating a whole lot of problems, right? But these are our typical default patterns here at Toledo. There is one more for the weird days. We're still doing left hand for south. We'll talk about that later. All right, but for most part, it's gonna be right hand patterns. Default north on light and variable or whatever manifest sets. So typically hanging out over the houses. I don't do this super square pattern. This is just a little bit easier for just talking points. But for me, there's a road right here that I typically follow, and then I follow this road, and then I take it out over the taxiway, and then I final. Whatever it be, as long as we're doing the same thing, everybody should stay safe, stay out of everybody's way. It's when we start doing weird things where somebody decides to go, to the west, and everybody else is going north. We have this weird spot right here where we could have some collisions. Having a canopy collision in the pattern, super dangerous, right? We don't have any time to put some more canopies out or do a cutaway. It hurts. Somebody's gonna get hurt. So everybody do the same as everybody. Follow the arrow, follow the pattern, right? Local weather can affect a lot of those decisions. So that arrow is going to be determined based on our local wind conditions. Landing direction will be established before boarding the aircraft. So know which way you're gonna go before you even get on the plane. All non-tandem jumpers should be landing in the same direction. Tandems are going to land into the wind. So tandems and students will always have priority for landing. They're going to land into the wind, or students will be being called in by their instructors. So avoid them, give them clean air, give them plenty of room, especially the tandems, right? Light and variable to the north. Landing direction will be set by manifest. This is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. It's just kind of a personal thing about spiraling. I know it's fun to pull on the toggles and go fast and feel the G-forces, but understand what that will do to the landing order. If we all fly standard and not do big aggressive maneuvers, then our natural wing loading will help separate each other and create space between each jumper. When we start spiraling, we're putting the slower canopies in front of the faster canopies and then creating situations closer to the ground. So if we can, just kind of fly those canopies and preserve that altitude until it's your time to land. It'll just make things a little bit easier, a little bit smoother. If you want to do some toggle whips and some big stuff, hop and pops and high pulls are a great place for that kind of stuff. Cool.
Steven,
Yes.
is there going to be a suggested altitude for 90s only, or is it just?
I mean, this is not a rule for the drop zone. This is just a preference.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't like doing anything big or aggressive under 2,500 feet. That's my decision altitude. Doing big aggressive toggle whips, especially maximum performance reverse canopy turns with toggles. For some of the bigger, fluffier canopies, lightly loaded, you can actually wrap yourself up pretty good. If you're doing that under 2,500 feet, you're below your decision altitude. Now things can get really spicy. So that's a personal thing that I think about. But it's not a DZ rule. It's just something I think about. Anybody else have anything about landing patterns, canopy stuff?
Spiraling, know when your AAD is going to fire.
Know when your AAD is going to fire. Yes, we saw an event at Chelan where we had somebody on the wrong setting and they had their AAD pop. That can be pretty dangerous to be doing an aggressive maneuver and have that reserve come out and have 2 out. So yeah, know your gear. Does everybody know what altitude and what
rental gear also?
What's that?
If you have a rental gear, know what the AAD is set for also.
Yeah.
It could be set for a student, and if you have a fun jumper renting gear, it's super easy to set up an AAD set on the student parameters.
Yeah, we have 2 riggers or more. We have more than 2 riggers. 3 riggers. Yeah. Talk to a rigger. We have 3 of them here today. Know your settings. Does everybody know the different settings that a Cypress can have? Student? Pro? Expert? What about wingsuit? Yeah. We have 4 different, just one AAD, we have 4 different parameters that would launch your reserve out. So know what your setting is. If it's adjustable, know how to adjust it, know how to check it. All that kind of stuff. Really, really smart. Anything else? Yes.
What about turns bigger than 90 to land?
So we have a high performance area over in front of the clubhouse. That's where bigger turns than 90s will be. It's pretty much be safe, be smart, head on a swivel, watch out for other flyers. And if you're doing a big rotation, you should probably understand all those rules, right? Be smart, be safe. Sam, you want to add anything on high performance?
Yeah, just if you're doing high performance turns and you're landing over the other field, let Manifest know first so that we can keep track of how many people are landing over there so we don't have high volumes other than that.
Yeah.
I'll also add, if there's people over there, don't swoop the bridge. You know, you guys have all seen the videos, some swooper coming in and killing somebody because he, need him in the head because he's going so fast. So if there's a bunch of cars parked in between those 2 hangars, or if you see anybody, just adjust.
Yeah. Great point. Thanks, Tim. We have a lot of tandem students walking through that field. They are going to take priority over your swoop. Also, don't buzz the pilots. We are pretty fortunate on having some pretty awesome neighbors and an awesome community here. They seem to like us pretty well. Let's keep it that way. Rabbit, did you have something you wanted to add?
Always have an out.
Always
Always have a
have
plan
an
B.
out.
You,
Yeah.
you may plan for landing in one spot, but always be ready to have a plan B to land someplace else and use that plan B instead of pushing your way through to get to the bottom.
Yeah. I'm not a swooper, so I'm not thinking about that kind of stuff, but that's great advice. Yeah.
I will say making a right-hand turn over those to swoop the hangars, that if you do come out low, you can kind of do a 90 off into the student field if you have to. Can you kind of, know what I'm saying?
Oh, to go out here?
Yeah, so if you're
You wanna
coming
show
in
us, Tim?
and you're doing a big turn, if you're going right, if your turn is going to the right, you have all this over here as an out, versus if you're doing a left-hand turn, it gets very limited on this side. Make sense?
Nice. Understand there is a ditch right here, so that'd probably be less than perfect.
Well, and we call it Cripple Creek because typically the wind direction is out of the north, and so you're going to get rotors off of these trees. So be very careful flying anywhere behind those trees.
Ask me, I know. Tim pulled me out of the field once. not fun. My ankle still hurts. Yes. Awesome. Anything else? Great advice. Great points. Anybody else have anything else they want to add? If you're thinking it, please add it.
Well, I'm gonna say those trees, they're usually out of the north, but if they come out of the east a little bit, then those rotors could be in the landing area, so know where your ground winds are and have that plan for landing, just in case there are.
Yeah, right as you're shutting down that high performance canopy, after you've milked out all the energy, hitting a downward gust of wind would probably be less than desirable. Cool. Who's a swooper here? Just a couple? Okay, cool. Yeah, so if you guys are doing those kind of things, you should understand what the atmospherics can do to your canopy, right? Cool. This is a big one. I think it affects every community, not just one in particular, but is the skydive appropriate for me? We'll kind of go back to that FOMO where everybody wants to do the rad cool stuff they see on the internet, but maybe it's not appropriate. And this can be maybe what you did last year at the end of the season. Maybe it's not appropriate to start out doing it, right? Doing those 7-way steep and deep angle tracks with all your buddies that haven't jumped in 3 months. Maybe you're not going to pick up right where you left off last season. That's okay. Start slow, build up. It's going to be a whole lot harder if you start charging, hurt yourself or hurt somebody else to get to where you want to be. So, you know, everyone wants to try those new things. That's how we get more skill. But just, you know, wait for that right time, right? Be honest with yourself and others, right? When you tell somebody that you can do something and then all of a sudden you cork, it's gonna be really obvious that you can't do it, right? We have Cole Fair here. He's our lead trainer at iFly. He can help you with those skills if you're looking to get to that point. But it's gonna be really, really obvious to everybody around you when you're in that tight, steep and deep angle track, when you pop and you hit somebody, that you weren't ready for that jump yet. When joining a group dive, ask questions and listen. You know, it's not only just advertising your skill, but also understanding who you're jumping with. If you've never jumped with that person, kind of vet them, right? And it's not like scrutinizing them and being an ass about it, but you want to make sure that they're going to be somebody to jump with that's safe and appropriate for your skill level, right? Understand what the dive flow is, break off when everybody's deploying. So some big changes in deployment or break off altitudes can have some weird consequences. So communicate with your dive, communicate with everybody on the plane, understand your exit order, your load order, all that kind of stuff. If it feels uncomfortable or if you are out of your element, you probably are, right? If it feels weird and out of your reach, probably shouldn't be doing that jump. Cool. Start small. To get to those really crazy, cool, fun jumps, it's always better to start with like a 2-way. I personally not a big fan of solos, especially with free flying. You don't really have that perspective of if you're going up and down jump run. Sometimes you haven't thought about all the things that could happen. Having somebody with you that's more experienced can kind of point out what we want to be looking for, why it's dangerous to be backsliding up jump run. If you have somebody that can hold a stable sit straight down in the column and they're getting really small, chances are it's you, right? So you don't really get that perspective on a solo. Get coaching. I know that here at Toledo we don't have a huge after a license coaching program, but just because you're not paying for coaching doesn't mean that you can't get coaching. If it's within my wheelhouse, I will gladly help anybody out that's looking to advance. Yes, Sam? Oh, you had your hand up. Oh, okay. Yes.
I come from Skydive Spaceland in Houston, and what we've started there, which might be an idea, is to become a mentor for somebody else. So if you have experience, grab somebody that doesn't, and then start teaching them. Even if you're on your own dime to do it, once you bring that person up, that person ends up teaching you later on. So
that's a huge point right there. Like, you know, bring your friends up to your level, and then you have more friends to jump with that are safe, and then they will trickle it down and bring more people that are safe, right? So yeah, mentorship is huge. I like to think of myself as a mentor as long as it's within my wheelhouse. I do head up, I don't do head down. I like to track, I like belly. If you guys want to learn anything like that, I would gladly help anybody. Cool. Enjoy the process. I'm gonna say that again. Just enjoy where you're at, right? We are paying money to send our bodies out of an airplane. We're already pretty awesome, right? Enjoy that fact, whether or not you're doing that head down radical 7-way, or you're turning points, right? All of it's cool. It's all freaking rad. We get to fly parachutes also. That's pretty sweet. And survivor bias. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. Does everybody understand what survivor bias is?
No.
No? Survivor bias is, well, I've done it before. Nothing happened. So we survived a sketchy situation and we believe that that's justification to keep on doing it. I heard one last year of, well, when we had the King Air here in 2001, we put 2 people on the back deck. That's survivor bias, right? Tim, our pilot, Rabbit, you guys really want 2 people back there on that back deck? Especially if it's a light loaded plane? Probably not, right? Just because you've survived that 7-way with 6 really awesome skydivers, maybe taking 5 of your new jumpers on that same dive flow isn't appropriate, right? Anybody else want to add anything?
The same thing goes for pilots too. Well, you flew when it was this cloudy last time and everything was all right. Can't we go fly in this time with that same, that could be survivor bias just as well. Sometimes we'll push the envelope of what we can do and that becomes the norm and it should not be.
This is a question I like to ask my new jumpers that are like super eager to go do something radical. How long do you want to be a skydiver? Everyone gives me the same answer. How long do you want to be a skydiver?
Forever.
Forever. You have the rest of your life to get to that point. So enjoy the process, take your time. It's going to be a lot harder to get to that point if you're busted up or injured than it would be if you stay safe along the way. Cool. Anything else?
If you see something, say something.
See something, say something.
If you're working to the plane and you see somebody's gears off, just ask. Sometimes things look different.
Yeah.
People jump different configurations.
You either save that person's life or the people on that jump, or you have a potential to learn something. And if somebody's saying something to you, don't be a dick about it. Educate them. If it's safe, cool. If not, be humble about it. Thank you. I appreciate that, right? Cool. We have an awesome mock-up. Let's use it. It is a rad mock-up. If you guys haven't seen it, it is really, really cool. It's probably the best mock-up I've ever seen. Use it, right? Mocking it up does a couple of things. One, it makes everybody know where they should be in the jump, in the exit, in the plane, all that kind of stuff. It also kind of shows everybody at the drop zone that, you know, oh, they're mocking up a 6-way belly jump. Cool, there's 6 people doing belly. Now I know kind of what half that plane's gonna be doing, right? It also kind of lets you know where everybody else should be in that jump. It definitely makes jumps easier rather than just sending, hey, let's go do this and let's go send it, right?
I would say even on a solo, especially people that haven't jumped out of the King Air before, that door is really small compared to a Caravan or whatever.
Yeah.
So just even practicing your climb out on a solo jump is good. You know, protect your gear, get used to how to turn, this and that.
Everybody knows what happened last year at PNW?
Yep.
We had a premature on the side of the plane. And it took the plane out of commission for a while. And luckily, there was a really, really talented pilot flying that plane. It was the second group out. Was that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, second group out. So they had, 10 people behind them? Could have taken everybody out. So understand you have a responsibility not only to yourself, but your pilot, your DZO that owns the plane, but everybody in that plane to make sure your gear is ready to be exposed to the wind and you're rotating out of the door appropriately. That door gets really small. Use that mock-up. Do gear on mock-ups. Make sure that that gear, especially rental rigs or big canopy rigs, they get big really quick. Understand where those danger points are and know that when you rotate out of that plane, you are going to be safe as well as everybody behind you still in that plane.
What happened?
They rubbed their pin on the door frame because they rotated the wrong way and released their main, and main wrapped around the tail.
Plane had to bank the ditch him.
Yeah.
Other than that, David.
Yeah. Yeah, really scary situation. He got bounced on the airframe a few times. Luckily, with the canopy shredded.
It cleared the tail.
It cleared the tail.
Eventually.
Yeah.
With the jumper.
And-
he had to cut away because the canopy was toast.
Yeah.
And the pilot landed the
Yeah.
damaged aircraft. Everybody got out okay.
Yeah.
I don't bring that up.
Best case scenario in a really bad situation.
Yeah. I don't bring that up to like shame anybody, but it's just a very plain example of what can happen. The sport is inherently dangerous. It's as safe as we make it. And by mocking it up, making sure our gear is appropriate, making sure that we know how to get out of the plane appropriately, helps make that safer. Cool. That's my rant. Positive visualization. This is one of my most powerful tools for young jumpers, is see yourself doing it and then do it, right? If you don't positively visualize, how do you know what it's supposed to look like? Or how do you know what it's not supposed to look like? Yeah, I use it every jump. So I sit there, close my eyes, practice it. I just got back from a 3-way competition with Brandon. Every single time when I'm looking around in the airplane, everybody's closing their eyes and practicing where their hands are gonna be, and then seeing who they're gonna be taking a dock on. And in that way, if it's different, something's wrong, right? Stick to the plan. This is something I see a lot, people changing their plan as they're walking to the plane, or even worse, in the plane. Yes, I've done it. I think everybody's probably done it. Not the smartest thing to do, right? So try to stick to that plan. Create the plan, execute the plan, debrief the plan, right? Cool. Anybody want to add anything on this one?
Yeah, I'll add something. I'm Justin. Sometimes you have a good plan and you execute it in the air, but it still goes to shit. So just, always be cognizant of that. And maybe if you're trying something new together, talk about, hey, this is plan B. If it goes to shit, here's what we can do. Let's just track away from each other, get some spacing, or, just something to think about.
Yeah,
because I've been on a lot of jumps where you have an awesome plan and then you get out in the air and it's like, fuck. What the fuck?
Where'd they go?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. Having a plan A is cool. Having a plan B is pretty awesome as well. Cool. 10-minute call. We're pretty good as of last year about being on the flight line appropriately, ready to go. I don't think I saw anybody running with just a rig over their shoulders and no leg straps done. Yeah. But yeah, be ready. Know your load. Know when to expect those calls. Sam's really, really good about vocalizing it. It's a pretty small packing area, so we're all pretty much in a yelling distance. So yeah, know your call and gear checks. That is one thing that I kind of noticed last year. A lot of people will kind of just throw their rig over their back without doing a gear check. I like to think of it just like the airport. If you leave your rig unattended, do another gear check, right? Another gear check is never going to be dangerous, right? It's only going to potentially save your life or somebody around you, right? But also know what you're looking for and actually check. I do see a lot of people just to kind of run through it, but actually look at it, right? Know what you're looking at, know what the wrong configuration looks like.
And if you don't know, find out.
Yeah.
Ask somebody. There's plenty of experience here to go, well, I'm not really sure. Don't just give up. Ask somebody and learn.
Yeah, there's a lot of experience and knowledge in this room right now. You can find somebody that can help you. Canopies. This is a pretty general rule, but if you are on the next load and you see canopies in the sky, you should probably be geared up, ready to go on the flight line. Don't be afraid to ask somebody if you can gear check them, right? Or ask somebody that knows how to gear check you, right? Especially if the rig's on your back. Hey, you know, can you just double check my pen? You know, something's wiggled, something felt weird, I touched my handle, just check it for me real quick. Everybody here's family. Look out for your family, right? We all want to go home at the end of the day, or at least I do. I don't want to speak for everybody, but yeah. Check current winds, landing direction, know before you go. We kind of talked about that already. It's going to be advertised all over the place. So understanding what pattern we're going to be doing, what direction we're going to be landing, all that kind of stuff should be sorted out before we get on that airplane. And then figure out your loading order. This is one thing that we kind of do here is figuring it out at the flight line. It would be really cool if we could start bringing that order together, maybe inside. We have the board or the sheet of paper. We can all see who's on the load, start asking questions, start talking to people, figure out what the loading order is, so that we're not having to shift around in the airplane or kind of jumble together at the flight line while we're trying to figure it out. Yeah, the flight line is not the time to mock it up or to figure out what you're going to do or to change your plan, right? We should have that plan already established by the time we get to that flight line. And then this is my little last note for we are a tandem drop zone. Tandems pay the bills. So if we as fun jumpers look organized and calm, it will help calm the tandems and help instill some trust in what they're about ready to go through. They're shitting their pants. So if we're shitting our pants, it's going to look weird, right? Yeah. Running around frantic is distracting for you and everyone around you. So be calm, be organized, be ready to go. Anything to add to this one? Everyone's really quiet. Gear checks. Gear checks are awesome. Check your gear. Make sure it's ready to jump. AADs are on. Pins are right. Closing loops are not about ready to explode. And everything is ready. Form a pattern in your gear checks. Do it the same way every time. There's a number of ways to do your gear checks. I don't personally care how you do your gear check, but do your gear check the same way every single time and have a logical flow to it. It's really hard to find something if you're jumping all over the place and you're bouncing all around and you're doing it different every single time. So do it the same way every time. Check of threes. You guys probably, if you've seen me in the plane, you'll see me doing it. I have a kind of a set altitude that I'll do it. 369, as long as we're going all full altitude. But I will check my three handles. So my main handle, my cutaway, and my reserve ripcord. Then I will check my three straps, making sure that they're done correctly, even on the leg straps, and secured. Then I'll check my three rings, make sure they're in that snowman configuration, rotating freely. My RSL, since it's right there, I'll check that as well. And I do it 3 times. I'm not saying you have to do it 3 times, but check your gear. Make sure it's ready to go. A lot can happen. Brandon was experiencing a problem with his leg straps loosening up in the plane. So understand that that can happen. Make sure that they're right. Does everyone know what uneven leg straps will do once the canopy comes out?
Get punched in the mouth with your chest strap is one of them.
That's one of them. Some sounds like experience.
Yeah. Probably happens more than it doesn't.
Yeah. It can also cause a weird turn. Yeah, you can hardest turn if you have uneven leg straps. Yeah, cool. Gear problems do not get fixed in the plane. All right, this is how people die. I personally have a friend who's a base jumper, not a skydiver. Well, he was a skydiver, but it was a base jump that killed him. But he's walking up to the exit, a branch snagged his bridle, popped his pin. Instead of walking down, he decided to fix it, and he set himself a pin lock, and he went into the dirt. So we don't fix problems in the plane. It's a lot safer to ride the plane down and be like, it was jumpable, rather than fixing it and setting yourself up for a dangerous situation, right?
When you do ride the plane down, I'm surprised how long it took somebody to tell me I was jumping in a different drop zone. But with the AAD again, make sure somebody turns it off for you, or you ask for a slow descent.
No
Somebody told me
pilot.
that for a while.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had the right
Pilot.
people on board.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to turn your own AAD off, but at the very least tell your pilot so that they don't have a fun landing and trigger your AAD. Cool. Also, in addition to your rig, make sure your gear is appropriately secured, right? Your helmets, if they're just sitting in your lap, if an emergency happens in the plane, those can become a projectile. There was a story, I don't know where it was, but I heard it when I was in AFF, about an airplane emergency on takeoff, and a loose helmet had 8 different blood samples on it by the time the plane landed, right? That was just ping-ponging around, hitting people. It would be really, really bad if that helmet knocked our pilot unconscious, right? So whether it's on your head, buckled in, on your chest strap, or have your seatbelt through it. Personally, I am gonna have it on my head buckled, but have it secured. You know, having stuff rolling around. That's why we wear seatbelts. Not really, yes, it keeps us safe, but more importantly, it keeps our loads and balance correct. So if something happens, we don't fly around and then change the CG for the plane. But yeah, secure your gear. Pilots, you guys want to add anything to that?
Okay. That's exactly it. At least to 1,000 feet. We'll get above, after 1,000 feet, we're gonna get above any dust devils or, you know, coyotes on the runway or birds or whatever. So yeah, 1,000 feet, keep your stuff slow.
Yeah. Pretty much my rule for me is if my seatbelt's on, my helmet's buckled.
So Tim, I just want to clarify, at 800 feet, we still have to worry about coyotes, but once we get to 1,000.
Well, you know how coyotes are.
And that extends to our exit. I don't remember anything flying off of people's heads except for my camera last year. But helmets can become projectiles if they fall off your head and land in someone's yard while their kids are playing outside. Right? That could be a quick, easy way for our neighbors to start hating us is if gear starts raining on their property. All right, so secure your gear. Take a second, buckle it up, make sure it's buckled. Cool. And that extends to anything that we bring along with us, whether it be free fly tubes or whatever your DZO is allowing you to exit with out of the plane. Cool. Anything else? Loading the plane. Everybody know the loading order here at Toledo? That's concerning.
High pulse in first, then tandems, then fun jumpers.
Well, there's a couple more groups, but yes. So first in, last out, right? So full altitude high poles are going to load up first, and we don't have a set altitude at which they deploy. It might be a good discussion to have for high poles that are above wingsuits. That's.
I mean, I'm curious why it's this way, because I know that, like, anytime you don't have wingsuits out last, because you don't know exactly how long of a delay somebody's going to take, there's been cases, like a lot of them, where high polers fall through the wingsuit formation if they don't get off jump run like they're supposed to, and they don't always do that. Is there any reason not to flip those?
I think that is a great debate or topic that would be great to talk to the DZOs. I personally, I don't see the disadvantage of switching them. I do know that there are situations when those can be switched, especially for like XRW or like experienced wingsuiters that are going to take off and go a little bit more, or if people want to do cross countries under canopy. I don't think that's really where we see big issues. I think personally I see more big issues with like trackers, the tracking exit groups. But yeah, I think that's a great conversation to have with the drop zone owners. Yeah. But for all intents and purposes, for today, wingsuits clear pool, they're going to be first in, last out. More than one group of wingsuiters, you guys need to talk to each other and choose direction of flight, whether they be opposite. I know sometimes some drop zones will do like big wingsuits take the long path, I know Paris does this, but they'll take a bigger path, and then small wingsuits will take a shorter path. I do see a potential problem for that for some younger wingsuiters that can't navigate as well. But typically we go different directions for wingsuit flights. After that, be tandems, then students, AFF and coaching students, unless the coaching student is doing low altitude pass, clear and pulls. Free fly, big to small, angle and flat tracking. Again, same as the wingsuits, more than one group, alternate east and west flights. Typically we talk about going to the mountain or going to the freeway for tracking. Belly flyer, small to big, and then steep angle. If you can't explain what a steep angle is, it's probably not you. All right, and does everybody know why we want to have steep angle out first? Any guesses?
They're going to be covering most airspace, right?
They're going to be moving, yeah. So steep angle group that's like really moving, they can cover more area, and it's safer for them to build in a turn with a 90-degree open field rather than just a one lane, right? So again, if you don't understand that, you're probably up in the flat track group. Cool. And then clear, pull, low pass. So those are, we don't do 3.5s here, but the 5.5 or whatever altitude we're getting for your clear and pulls. Make sense? Any questions? Any comments? Moving right along. Be ready for takeoff. Seatbelts on, up to, and down from 1,500 feet. So if we need to land in the plane, the seatbelts need to come back on. Make sure your gear is secured again. So if you did remove your helmet and we have an emergency landing, or whatever reason we are landing in the plane, secure that helmet again. Your helmet should be secured by clipping on your chest, buckling to the seatbelt, or on your head, which is my personal favorite. Doesn't do any good for your protection if it's in your lap and something happens and you smack your head against somebody or the airframe. By securing yourself and your gear, you're keeping the airplane safe for takeoff and landings. We don't need the loads to shift around in an emergency or for our gear to be flying around. Be ready for anything. It's kind of my big mantra, is just be ready for the worst case. It's kind of a driving that nail home, right? Perfect. So know your lights. We do red and green. So red light door, or about 2 minutes, roughly, depending on wind conditions and a number of other things. Pilots can educate me more on later, or now, if you desire. But about 2 minutes-ish? Probably even less than that, right? Ish? Yeah. Right. Final gear checks.
2 minutes is a long time. It's that door to me.
It is a long time. But yeah, great time for those final gear checks. I always do a quick check of threes when I see the doors open, especially my handle. I don't have a slide on that, but really good topic to talk about is hot days. We open up the door. People sitting by that door should probably check their pilot chutes, make sure that they are secured and ready to go. It would really, really suck if you're sitting on the floor and that pilot chute sneaks out that door. Pretty sure I have a slide that has a picture of what happens. Yes, Brett?
Everybody should know that every seatbelt should be off before the door.
Yeah, every seatbelt should be off. I like to check with all the tandems and make sure that they are connected or understand that the door is coming up. The door is all the way up or all the way closed, never cracked, even if someone farts. Do we know why?
You don't get killed when you get ripped out.
You don't get killed if you get ripped out. Yeah, and also if if a pilot chute does sneak out and somebody sees it, whoever's attached to that pilot chute can exit quickly rather than it kind of sneaking its way out from the bottom of the door and ripping somebody out through the door. That'd be a bad day for everybody. Cool.
Just wanted to say something on pilot chutes. Hey, Austin, TI, AFFI, back this year. Excited to be here. I was gone all last season. So something that we adopted on my team was if you are moving around in the plane, right, whatever you're doing, if you're moving, you put your right hand on your pilot chute, your hacky sack or PUD, whatever you got, and you move like that. So if your pack tray is moving around in the bird, you have your hand on it, you know nothing's going to happen. If you adopt that, it will save you.
Yeah,
Already
great
had
advice.
several saves because dudes were like literally got a little snag and they noticed that something was happening, so they addressed it instead of dragging that pilot chute out and potentially getting sucked out of the aircraft. We
Yeah.
have a lot of helicopters, so that's why we adopted that.
Good point. Something I like to do if I'm sitting behind somebody that's moving down to the floor is I'll shadow their pen with my hand. I don't care if I rub skin off my knuckles. If they rub their rig against the seat as they're sitting down, I'll take a little blood on my hand rather than having that person ripped out of the side of the plane. And then another thing I like to do is put my foot on the outside in front of their pilot chute, if like in between the door and their pilot chute. My thought is either I can hold it down, stop it from coming out, or notice it's coming out if something happens. Cool. Green light go. Our pilots are some of the best. Yeah, they are. But we still stop for ourselves, so look down. It'll give you a couple key pieces of information. One, jump run direction, a vague idea of our speed, and then ensure that we're over that drop zone, right? We are using GPS, so our spots are pretty dang awesome, but it never hurts to check really quick, especially while we're waiting for that light to turn green. Look, don't leap, even if someone yells go. We are trying to keep our separation predictable and keeping our groups pretty reasonably tight. The King Air is moving really fast, so we can get stretched out pretty quick if everyone's taking their time. But make sure it's ready for you, even if people are yelling go in the back. But go at the right time. Don't yell go unless you know. You're in the back and you can't see down. You don't know what's happening. Maybe they're seeing something. Maybe someone had a premature right before their group and they are not going to jump into it. So refrain from that yelling at them to go.
I would think you don't say that unless it's coming from the pilot.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad thought. Yeah.
People yell go when people haven't done a good mock-up and they're taking 30 seconds getting 4 people out the door.
Yeah.
Mock it up and stick with the plan.
Yeah. Also, yeah, don't take the entire jump run for your three-way, because you all want to be outside the airplane. Be realistic with your mock-ups, right? Cool. Anything anybody want to add to this one?
And it's all back to that go, come on, what's taking so long? Get out, come on, let's go. And then you can rush somebody, and then they do something stupid, and then everything goes to hell. It doesn't cost that much to go around. And be efficient, for sure. Do your mock-ups, for sure. But there's no reason to get excited in the airplane thinking, if they don't go, I'll never be able to go. Or if they don't go, I'm going to be out long. Remember, slow and sure is a lot safer than go, and getting everybody excited.
Cool. Brings up a question for the pilots. On the average day, I know everything's variable, but on the average day, if we do a go around, are we doing a teardrop or a full 360?
I prefer a 360.
Me too.
Okay.
Cool. So expect that, right? So some drops. Does everyone understand what a teardrop versus a 360 is for a go around?
What's a teardrop?
U-turn.
Changing jump run
Just
direction.
a U-turn. So now we're going downwind for your go around rather than going completely 360 and then back into the wind.
Okay.
So it's a timing difference, right? So a full 360 is going to take a lot longer than just a teardrop.
Yeah. And we're also doing those 360s long enough for whoever got out to be able to get down low enough that we're not putting them on top. So if you're a wingsuiter, let's say, that's or someone that's going after a tandem or a student, will take a little longer going around as opposed to if it were all fun jumpers that got out and we're letting the tandems out after and we're a little long, we may whip that around a little quicker. So we're also thinking about that as pilots.
Cool.
Hey, I'm not gonna have anything to say we keep on going like that.
Perfect. All right, exit separation. We talked about the King Air moves pretty fast on an average day. What's our jump run speed?
80, 85.
Pretty fast. Yeah.
We get it slowed down so it's not like incredibly fast like it used to be. It used to be 110, 120 would be normal for a jump run, but we've gotten to where full flaps we can get it down around 85, 90, 80, 85. depending on how heavy the load is.
Yeah. Also depends on how many people are trying to hang on the side of the plane,
True
what
that.
that can do to the airframe as well. I don't know if I have this on here, but don't crowd the door until it's your turn to go. The CG on this plane is a little bit front heavy. How would you phrase that?
Favor the front.
Favor the front, yeah. Especially if you have like a 7-way building in front of you, wait until they leave before you start coming back. And also, if you're putting a 7-way out, let them know so they can adapt to that. And their pilots, they'll understand, but they might have a little bit of a faster jump run if there's a big weight shift or a big load coming out all at once. But yeah, communicate with your pilots. They are keeping us safe. But it's your responsibility to find out what the separation time is and stick to it. Try not to rush it, but also try not to stretch it out. You know, yes, we can do go arounds, but it's again like this. It's hard for that first person to back out of something. It's hard to be the first person to say, "Hey, let's do a go around." So try not to pressure the back of the plane into putting themselves into a weird situation. If you don't know, just ask the jumper closest to the pilot. But ask. There should be a readout for ground speed, and then everybody should understand the calculation. Is it still in the plane, right? The
Is there
exit
a
separation chart?
Is there a chart?
I thought there
It
was.
used to be on the door.
And then I think there was one like co-pilot first jumper
If there's
side.
not, I'll get one.
Yeah. So know what the ground speed is. If you don't know where to find that, ask your pilot. They'll probably be glad to point it out to you, and then know what the separation should be for that group. Separation includes the climb out. So if it's an 8-second, as soon as the feet of the group in front of you leave, you start your climb out and you start counting. As soon as you hit 8 seconds, your feet should be off the side of the plane. Make sense? Perfect. Yeah, don't wait for 8 seconds to start your climb out. You just hosed everybody behind you. Spot. Yeah, we are kind of trying to move in a rapid motion, but we want to be safe. We want to spot. Watch the group in front of you. Make sure there's no prematures or anything funky. Nobody hanging from the tail. Whatever. All that kind of stuff. Yeah, I already mentioned large groups are out in front of you. Stay up in front of the plane before you crowd the back. Cool. Anybody want to add anything? I know pilots, this is a big thing for you guys.
Oh, don't worry, I'll cover it again.
Perfect.
Is it still, if you climb out, you're out, no climbing back in?
So that's my thing, especially with the small door. Pilots, DZOs, if you guys make it outside, they're going skydiving, right? No climbing back in? Perfect. Everybody understand that? You commit to climbing out, you are going skydiving.
I would say if you're on a group, designate one person to spot and maybe even include that person to do the count. So that person can kind of, like you said, watch the group in front of you, make sure the green light's on.
Yeah. I think Paris does with flaps down, wings level, green light on, group in front of you is gone, kind of thing.
I would add direction of flight.
Direction of flight? Yeah. You
Yeah,
know which
check
direction
out the
we're flying.
horizon, see which way the plane's going, and kind of have an idea of where you're going to be tracking, or which direction you're going to be tracking the freight car.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else? Don't be afraid to pipe up. If anybody has anything in the back of their brain, this is the perfect time and place to share that stuff. All right. Go hit stuff. Yeah, so this is what happens when someone gets yanked out of the airplane by a piece of fabric. It doesn't look good on the plane, but imagine how that person's feeling right now or after that happened. So that's why we want to make sure that our gear is secured and not coming out of the side of the airplane. Don't let your gear hit stuff, so make sure if you're doing those high pulls that you see the airplane flying away before you pitch. I'm not going to preach to the TIs that about cocking their pilots or their drogues. They know that already. You don't throw your pilot chute back into the plane. I saw that once. All that kind of stuff. We don't need to jump up out of this plane. All right, the tail is low, So when you're leaving, it's more of just a step back or drop off. Don't jump up. Try to stay small until you see the airplane fly away, especially wingsuits. Airspeed is high. If you're wingsuiting and you open up right outside the door, your back is going to get hit by that tail. Right? Don't be a skydiver who hits the tail. Yeah. Don't step on the wing. That is not a step. It literally says no step. It's not there ironically. Don't step on that. Is a control surface. If you push down on that, the pilot's going to get really angry really fast. Right? Again, the door's all the way up or all the way closed.
You mean no stepping on the flap? Can you stand on the wing?
No. Right?
No.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, the wing is completely off limits.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because, and the reason is you'll go, well, okay, I'm gonna miss the flap and put my foot on the wing, and then you don't. The wind pushes you back, you put it on the flap and go, well, I was trying to get it on the wing, but I broke your flap instead.
Yeah.
If you just eliminate it completely and go, I can't touch that wing, then you're not gonna accidentally touch the flap. Cool?
Excellent. Does everybody know the procedure if they see a pilot chute in the airplane?
Pilot chute.
Pilot chute. What else?
Door.
Contain it.
Yeah, contain it.
Close the door. What happens if that pilot chute sneaks outside of the airplane?
Jump through.
Are you gonna be nice and polite about it? No. No. Get their body out of the freaking airplane. All
Here's
right.
another one. Will you leave with the person if you need to?
Yes.
Instead of pushing, you can take and both of you deploy exit at the same time. It's more sure that way.
Yeah. Get that body out of the plane, or else this can happen. It'll be a bad day at the drop zone if that happens. I never want to see that. Yeah, same is true with reserve gear, right?
Yes.
Yes. Excellent. Anybody want to add anything to this?
If you are going to hit something, hit it softly, like say the ground. Don't hit the earth really fast. It hurts.
Cool. Break off. So track away for distance, not time. So if you are just counting to 3 and you only move 50 feet, probably not tracking away enough, right? And then if you can, be aware, this is part of why we're spotting and knowing where our airplane is traveling, try to go perpendicular to the line of flight. Granted, if you have a big way, probably somebody's going to have to track slightly up, jump, run-ish, but the more we can be aware of that, the better, right? Discuss your break-off altitude with other jumpers in your group before heading for the plane, so everybody understands when they're going to split. It gets really scary when you're in the middle of a jump and then all of a sudden you lost 2 people and you don't know where they are. They could be above you, they could be behind you, you don't know. And then when you're pitching your pilot chute, you're just kind of praying that they don't come through you, right? This should be part of your mock-up jump. So discuss the plan and your plan B in that mock-up. Break-off altitude is always what is most comfortable for the least experienced jumper, not the group. Does that make sense to everybody? So if somebody's not comfortable going to 3.5 and you want to jump with them and they want to break off at 4, everybody should break off at 4. Make sense? Perfect. Pick it and stick it. So once you agree to a plan, stick with it unless an airplane emergency happens. Cool. Anybody want to add to this?
Everybody knows if you're free flying, you're going to do a steep track or even flip your back, track away on your back. And I don't know, I think it's a good idea right before pitching, maybe do a quick barrel roll if you're in a big group.
Yeah, great point. I have a personal rule, 5 or more in my group, especially a tracking group, I'm going to barrel roll, count heads, and then pitch. If I lost somebody and I don't get to the number that I had when I started my jump, it could be kind of scary, right? especially a steep jump where levels are changing and speeds are changing. If somebody corks and they're right above you and you lost them, it could be really bad.
Thanks for that.
Pay attention to line of flight after deployment, and don't be flying up jump run. Like, look for the next group.
Yeah. Yeah, great point, Cameron. As you're doing your housekeeping, fly off of jump run. And then try to refrain from flying straight back to the drop zone too. Everybody's coming to the same point. And then typically when we're doing our housekeeping, we're not paying 100% attention on our flying. So yeah, if you're flying off jump run doing your housekeeping, it's going to be less potential for that canopy collision. Cool.
Like with X separation and a bigger group, like break-offs, like you said, if you have, like a six-way, some people might be tracking up and down jump run, but if you're the group behind a big group and, half the plane's getting off, you can throw a few extra seconds at them. You don't need...
Yeah, especially if you're looking down and you're still right over the drop zone, a couple extra seconds, as long as, you don't have, 5 tandems behind you or a bunch of students or something, understand that it's a dynamic situation.
It's different when you have like 7 2-ways on the plane versus an 8-way
Exactly.
and 2 small 6.
Yeah.
Like you can give that front group a lot of time and still, make it back just fine.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, great point. Cool. I like it. Anybody else have anything I want to add? All right. I'm almost done. This kind of goes back to my personal belief about spiraling. It's not a race to get down to the ground. We all paid a bunch of money to get up in the sky. Canopy flight is the second half of our sport. It's not just the way we get back to the ground safely. If you take a little bit more time to fly your canopy, maybe you can learn how to fly that canopy and have more fun with it as well. And then trying out different ways to control that canopy. Everybody understand that there's different ways to control your canopy other than just your toggles? Yeah. Russell, what's another way to control your canopy?
Risers.
Which ones?
Either.
Any of them, right? Yeah. What about weight shift? Harness turns.
The only way I can land is putting my legs to one side in the harness. Something about the thickness of one of my legs or something. I always cut on landing if I don't hang my legs to one side.
How old are your lines?
Rental gear.
What's rental
So
gear?
I'm talking about 6 different rigs.
It
same
always
issue.
happens, huh?
Yeah.
Weird. You're a freak. I like it.
I don't
Excellent.
have my wallet in my pocket. I don't know.
That's a wallet. You know, fat wallet. Be predictable, right? The people that are just kind of yanking and banking without looking, they are not being predictable. If we fly a standard pattern and we fly kind of, predictably, then we can lessen the chances of those canopy collisions. Canopy collisions scare the heck out of me, right? Anybody do crew here? No crew dogs. All right. Yeah? All right. So except for Rabbit, canopy collisions should be scary. But yeah, wraps are not a really good thing, right? And then what happens if we do wrap up with somebody and both people are conscious? What's our procedure?
Communicate.
Communicate. Yeah.
Talk to each other.
Yeah. Should the person up high cut away really quick?
No.
No, why not?
Sink into the other guy?
Yeah, you're gonna drop through that other person, and then if you have an RSL or a MARD, you might be wrapping your reserve up with them. Now you're in a real predicament, right? Yeah, so communicate. Typically, the lower person, if there's gonna be a cutaway, the lower person's the one to cut away. And if you're in a wrap, and you're aware, I would strongly recommend disconnecting your RSL before you cut away, so you have a little bit of time to separate. Make sense?
If you have time.
If you have time, yeah. What happens if you're under 1,000 feet and you're in a wrap?
If you're going to the ground, you're flying each other.
There's another answer. Reserve. Yeah, everybody put more fabric out, right? Both people pop their reserve, put more fabric out there. 4 is better than 2 at that point. Even if they don't open, just having friction in the wind. Make sense? And keep altitude in the bank. I teach my students that altitude is like having money in your bank. Every time you pull on that toggle, you're taking withdrawal. You're taking opportunity out of your situation to avoid danger, right? So by adding altitude into your bank, then you have potential to either avoid somebody, see a situation, hang in brakes, hang in rears, whatever it may be, to avoid a dangerous situation. Cool. All right, this is kind of an open discussion, but when it goes wrong, what's your backup plan? If you have gear issues in the plane, what are we gonna do?
Stay in the plane, write it down.
Write it down. Who are you gonna tell? Pilot. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure the pilot.
Yeah. Cool. What about if the spot looks bad? You look down and all you see are the chicken farms.
That's for a go around.
Yeah, cool. Tell your pilot too. Hey, things were a little different. Or maybe they're like, hey, the winds are nuking. You're gonna get it back, right? What about a premature deployment?
Figure out what you have.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure. Let's add it. What happens if something happens in the plane? Again, gear issue in the plane, right? Write it down. But yeah, if you're in free fall, maybe you're doing a sit fly, all of a sudden your main comes out. What's probably the first thing you should think about doing? Turn off jump run. Yeah, 'cause you're probably higher than the group behind you, assuming it's a fun jumper. Probably higher than the group behind you planning on pulling. So turn off jump run after the stars go away. What about if you enter clouds in free fall in a group?
Stay together.
Stay put.
Slow turn right.
Slow right turns.
Hold position.
Yeah, because in the white room we can't really tell if we're moving forward or not. So it's safer to just do a slow right hand turn. That way we're maintaining our little window of our airspace. And if everybody's doing that, then hopefully we don't have a collision, right? Is the same thing true for under canopy?
If the clouds are high enough.
If you're in a cloud under canopy, yeah, slow right turn. No. Cool. What happens when you have a cutaway? What are we doing?
Everything wrong.
What's that?
You're doing everything wrong.
Look for a safe place to land.
Yeah. You know, is it there? Is it square? Do I have a place to land? That's a good one. And then I would communicate with DZO, S&TA, somebody responsible that, hey, we have some gear out. I'm going to go look for it. Do we land with our gear? Do we chase our main down?
We get lucky.
I mean, if it's over here at Doc's farm, I might. Yeah, but that's a personal call you need to answer for yourself. If you're 4 miles out, maybe try to make it back to the drop zone.
Do some practice flares.
Yeah. Yeah, figure out that reserve. If you've never flown a reserve, it's a lot different than your main. Yes, Brett.
Don't try to catch your cutaway canopy and free.
Don't try to catch your main or your free bag. Why, Brett?
Had a passenger, the passenger, and some, I don't know who it was, camera in front of the load. I saw a cutaway and I started, well, I can't remember the thing now, but anyway, he goes, I see him going for the canopy and he catches it. I said, watch this, he's gonna be cutting away. Sure enough, a couple seconds later, he cut away from his own canopy because it rattled his canopy.
Yeah.
There's no point in trying to catch a canopy or a free bag when you're under canopy in the air.
Yeah.
It doesn't look cool and you're likely to be cutting away your own parachute.
Yeah, maybe if you see a cutaway, spot where it's landing, and then come back and tell somebody so that you kind of have an idea where that gear is at. What about handles? What are you doing with your handles when you cut away?
Drop them.
Maybe.
Stuff them in your shirts.
Yeah. I mean, my plan A is to hold on to my handles, but if it risks my life, I'm definitely going to get rid of them. But I'm going to try to hold on to them. Cool. Off-site landings. If you land off, what's your main priority?
Land safely.
Land safely. Second priority?
Avoid obstacles.
Well, yeah, okay, you've landed.
Yeah.
Be polite.
Being respectful of the property that you're on. Yeah.
Keep dog treats.
Yeah. Get back to a main road. Right? Try to get somewhere where you can get picked up. And then as soon as you get back to the drop zone, check in. If you have a phone with you, call. Say, hey, I landed. I'm off. This is where I'm at. I'm safe. Whatever. Brett, did you have something to add?
When you're landing off, it may look flat from the air, but it's not necessarily flat and even when you get down to the ground. Just be aware of that.
Yeah.
It may look nice, soft, flat field, but it might be hilly, and the grass might be 6 foot tall or whatever. Just be
Yeah.
aware of that.
I would plan on PLFing.
Straight lines also will indicate power lines.
Yeah, power lines or
Especially against roads,
fences.
so keep an eye for that.
Yeah. Are you gonna straight into an unknown field? No. Yeah. I would recommend finding a field early and then doing your pattern. By doing that pattern, we can kind of suss out the field, see if there's any kind of hidden obstacles. We have now 3 legs to look at it rather than just a straight in and then, oh my God, there was some rebar sticking up in the ground. Make sense? Cool. And we kind of talked about canopy collisions. Anybody else want to add to this?
Mindful of the wind direction if you can.
It's another reason to do that pattern.
If you are spotting somebody else's cutaway, pay attention both to where their gear is as it's falling, but also where you are, because then you can look at a map afterwards and kind of reconstruct, because everything's like relative.
Yeah, but don't get object fixated on that person's gear. You still got to land safely too, right? Cool.
I'd say on landing out, decide early. Try not to, am I going to make it over those trees or am I going to make it over those power lines? Make that decision before you have to really do some fancy flying.
Yeah. Yeah, P&W jumpers, I've been there for a minute. We had a very experienced jumper that painted themselves into a corner and hurt himself very badly by doing that. Cool. I think that's it for me.
And then one other thing on canopy collisions, everybody knows if you are in imminent danger of a canopy collision, get big, don't go through the lines. Hopefully that it'll just bounce right off of you. Everybody understand that? Makes sense?
Yep. Oh, and if you see somebody heading straight for you, 2 people flying at each other, which direction do we go? Right. Unless,
Left makes more sense.
yeah, unless the right hand makes that collision happen. Yeah. Cool. If you were my student, you probably heard me say this. This is one of my favorite things to say. I gamble, I belly up to the table, but I cheat my fucking ass off. I guarantee I come home. Right? Yeah, cool. It's a great sport that is inherently dangerous, but it can be done safely. It's one thing Dan DC always preaches about. Be the person you want to fly with by being safe, humble, and fun. You're that person. Hopefully people will fall in line with you as well. Lead by example. There are old skydivers and there are bold skydivers, but nowhere will you find an old and bold skydiver. Make sense? Cool. Does anybody want to add anything else? Cool, that's all I got. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
And then we got Mr. Brett with gear safety.
Want to take a break or anything? Go out.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
I've loved
10
it.
minutes.
Yeah, dog treat.
Huh?